The next one I think we want to talk about was meeting recaps and some newer
Yeah.
features or some features that we use a lot in meeting recaps.
Yep. So I'm going to pull up a meeting recap here. So the meeting recap is available to you if you have Teams Premium, which is an extra license that you have to purchase. And it's available if you record the meeting. So we've gotten in the practice of recording nearly all of our meetings. That way we can use Teams Premium or we can use Copilot. We have Copilot licenses as well to give a nice summary of the meeting. You can highlight where you were mentioned. There's a transcript as well, but this meeting recap feature is really nice. So this was a recent team meeting where I did a whole lot of talking, talked about a lot of different stuff. The feature that I want to share that's new is sharing the link to that meeting recap. It used to be that you had to go find where the meeting was in your calendar. You had to go, go into the chat. Well, now you can just copy that link and paste that into an email, paste it into a chat, and anyone that has access to that meeting, so they have to be part of the same team or they have to have been a participant in the meeting, can jump right into the meeting recap. And that's right up in the upper right-hand corner. So really useful. Kind of the way around it before was to open the recording and stream, which is Microsoft's video platform. And then you could share that, but then you didn't have the nice AI summary. And our next tip is scheduling messages in Teams. Before, you could schedule a message to an individual, but now here I'm in a group chat, or I could be in a team, and here's my thread. Here's my little thread I started in our marketing team. If I want to send a message to the marketing team, but I want it to land right at 3 o'clock this afternoon, all I have to do is right click that send button and I can change the time of when I want to send this message. So this is something that you could always do individually, but now you can send a scheduled message in a team. So there we go. It'll kind of sit there and it'll say it's going to send it later in the day.
Yeah, this is so awesome because I think on a past tips and tricks, we did show how to delay the send to an individual.
Yeah.
You hit the plus button and then you
Yep.
schedule the send. But
Yep.
now what you're saying is for in a group chat, you can do the same thing just by right clicking on the send button.
Absolutely. The next one that's related to this is the ability to forward messages. Okay. So here I sent this important message in our marketing team, but I want to send it to Gar directly. So I don't have to retype it. I don't have to copy and paste it. I can just go into that message, click on the 3 little dots. Now I've got a forward option. So I can forward this message to Gar or to another team. I'll just say Gar, and I'll just say, here we go. Hey, look at this. So now that message went to Gar in our direct chat.
Yeah, and I see, hey, look at this, and then I see like a screen, almost like a screenshot of the original
Yeah.
message.
Yep. So forwarding is pretty neat. So I get a ton of email, you get a ton of email, everybody gets a ton of email, and we have to filter through it. A lot of it is newsletters and announcements and a lot of salesy stuff that seems to make its way into our inbox that spam filters don't catch because they're legitimate emails. It's not malware and viruses. It's legitimate emails. It's sales outreach. So the tip that we want to share first is creating a message rule that sort of filters out that noise. And here I'm in Outlook Web Access, outlook.office365.com. I go into my settings and we've got different options here. I'm going to go into rules and I want to talk about a rule that I created called unsubscribe messages. So
This is not built in, Reid. You had to manually create this, correct?
Yep, had to create this. And I have a bunch of rules, as you can see, for a bunch of different stuff. But so we would add a new rule, and we can give it a name, unsubscribe. And there's all these different conditions that you can select. Messages where I'm on the to line, certain subjects, high priority, sensitivity. And if you think about your workflow during the day and the types of emails that you receive, you could create rules for certain types of emails, maybe emails related to a project, maybe emails from certain groups of people. But what I want to talk about today is messages that have that magic unsubscribe link in them. Any newsletter or any sales email that you get, to follow anti-spam laws here in the US, they've got to have an unsubscribe link at the bottom. So we can create a message rule to look for that word in the message. And then when it sees that word, I can move those messages to a subfolder in my Outlook to get them out of my inbox, and I can look at them later. So I created a folder called unsubscribe. And then you'd want to save this rule. You could run it on your inbox. I'm not going to do that right now because I have way too many emails in my inbox. But you could add another exception or another condition and say, I really only want this to happen for messages that I've received after maybe a month ago, because I don't want to go back to the beginning of time. We all have a bunch of email in our inboxes. So maybe we start with any message received after April 1st that has unsubscribe in the message body, move it to the unsubscribe folder. And then I could run that now. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm going to show you the output of that. I've got an unsubscribe folder here. This message, or this folder, has 1,200 items in it. So just in my inbox, from the beginning of April, I had 1,200 messages that are newsletters, sales stuff, and other stuff that was clogging up my inbox. So now with this rule turned on, it's 10 a.m. Central. I just got another email. And this is a kind of a sales email, but at the bottom, it's got that unsubscribe link. That's why it landed in this folder instead of my inbox. Huge time saver.
Couple questions, Reid. Elvis pointed out that he loves this as well for the same reason I did, which spurred my thinking on this. So you just said you got one because you're in Central and it's 10. So did that actually even show up in your inbox?
Didn't even show up because the rule processed it as it was coming in and it moved it immediately.
So that means so two follow-on questions that Elvis spurred in my mind is if I'm on my mobile and I'm driving.
There's another one.
that won't show up on my mobile because I'm only looking at my inbox.
Correct? But on your mobile, you could go into your folders and find that unsubscribe folder, but you're right, it wouldn't show up in your inbox because it would process it in the background before you even looked at your phone.
Now, here's something that when I'm looking at my inbox, because I'm going to implement this almost immediately after this call, I think it's a fantastic idea, except for this. I do have an email in my inbox that has the word unsubscribe, and it's actually something that I would want to see. Specifically, it's an email from Clutch, who we do who does some analysis of our webpage. So, is there anything you could think of to sort of help with that, or do I just have to randomly, once a day go through my unsubscribed emails to make sure they're?
So that's where I'm back in my settings. I'm back in this rule that I created. That's where you add an exception.
Okay.
So I add an exception and I could say, there's all sorts of options, right? So you'd look for maybe
Yep.
From,
in this case.
Yeah. And then that address or that domain. So then it won't run this rule for Clutch, for example. The other one that came to mind for me that is, I think, important is you might forward me something that you think is interesting for me to see.
Oh, that's a good, because we do that to each other.
That has an unsubscribe link in it. and maybe I want to see that right away. So that exception would be subject includes FW, because whenever you forward an email, Outlook
Oh,
puts an FW in front.
yeah, that's interesting. I might not have done it that way. I might have done it except it puts you as an exception. I
Yep.
want to see all your emails, Reid.
Sure. Yeah. Or maybe someone's replying to an email and adding you as a CC. So you could add another filter for, I could say RE, right? Reply. So you can play with that a little bit, but this is awesome. And even during this call, look at this. I've got 10 a.m., 10:06, 10:08, 3 emails filtered out of my inbox. Now I have to remember to go in here, right? I might check this folder once a day, once every other day, because some legitimate stuff will go in here.
Right.
But
Right.
it saves some of the brain power during the day. So Bookings is Microsoft's ability for you to send out a link to someone where they can have some minimal access to your calendar availability and actually book a meeting. So to do that, we're actually going to be in OWA, Outlook Web Access. When I'm looking at my calendar here, an easy way that you can get into Bookings is when you're creating a new event, at the bottom, there's a bookable time option. And when I click on that, it's going to take me into a window that lets me manage creating a new event that I can send out to someone, and then they can pick a time. Now, the idea here is creating a reusable event that I could send out to multiple people or put in my email signature so that people could click the link, pick a time, and book a meeting. So I'll just call this Reid's one-on-one time. Reid one-on-one time. And I'll say it's a 30-minute meeting. I can pick when I want these meetings available. Like maybe we'll only have one-on-one time on Fridays. And then I can click save. And I've got the option here of making it public so that anyone can access this, or I can make it private so that only people that I share this to can access it. And then you've got the ability to append it to your email signature. So I'm going to untick that box. I'm going to turn on the ability to have a Teams meeting from this. And now I'm going to click create. So when I do that, Microsoft gives me a link here. And this link I can paste into an email. I could put it in my email signature. I could put it on a website. I could put it anywhere. And when someone clicks that link, they're going to see only availability that I've identified and time slots that are available to book a meeting with me. And when they follow through this process, it'll send them an invite and it'll put the calendar item on my calendar as well. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Loop. And these tools that we've just been talking about, you can embed in Loop. So again, I'm going to go back to my office.com. I'm going to go into my app launcher and Microsoft Loop. So to start off with, Loop is a collaborative space where multiple people in your organization can simultaneously type, track tasks, collaborate on documents, collaborate on all sorts of items. So there's different parts within Loop that I want to start off with explaining. So first off is a workspace. Think of a workspace as kind of an infinite canvas of an area that people within your team can collaborate on. So I created a workspace here called My Project. And within that workspace, I can have multiple pages, multiple Loop pages that might contain different information. And I can invite multiple people from my organization to this Loop workspace. Within the workspace, I have a page, and a page is just a kind of a canvas that we can collaborate on. And Microsoft has some nice templates that I'll show you here. Like, for example, they have a decision-making loop template. So here it's a decision, what's the question, what's the background context, constraints, assumptions, comparing ideas. They have a table that's here. Next steps are tasks. And you can add other components within this space to customize what this looks like. So that's the page. Each section that we're talking about here is what's called a loop component. And the powerful part about loop is I can share one section of this page with part of my team within Teams or within Outlook, and they can collaborate on that one section without having the entire piece open. So you remember at our last training that we did last week, we talked about using a collaborative agenda within a Microsoft Teams meeting invite. So when we did that, that was a loop component. So that was a box within here that Gar and I were able to collaborate on. So let's do that here as an example. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to create a new page, and we're just going to call this meeting agenda notes. And I can just start typing whatever I want. And if I want to share this with Gar, I can share the entire workspace, which is the entire project, or I can share a link to this page, or I can share the component itself. So I'm going to share the component, and I have to hit allow. And now a link has been copied to my clipboard. So I'm going to switch my screen. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open up a new chat. Let's say Gar. And I'm going to paste that component into the message. And you'll see, give access and send. There it is.
Yeah, I was looking for a message from Reid, not demo.
Yeah, but it's from demo. So now, right within Teams, we're able to collaborate on this document, and I can type at the same time too. And if I go back to my loop screen, here we are. Gar's typing, I'm typing. So where is this useful? Normally, when we're collaborating, we might share a link to an entire Word document, right? To our entire team. And multiple people might be in there simultaneously editing the document, and it's confusing. With Loop, I can share, think of part of that document with one group, part of the document with another group, and the edits that they're making are contained within that one section. So it's great for a large plan or a large collaboration where you've got lots of different people in there making edits where maybe you don't want everybody to see everything else. So that's Loop. Today we're going to talk about some agents that have some specific capabilities. So an agent is really like a specialist. It's a tool that has specific knowledge, specific actions, and capabilities. So we're going to start with the researcher agent that's now available from Microsoft. But before we get into that, we got to show like, how do you get these agents, right? Because they don't just show up in your Microsoft Copilot. So here I am, I'm in Teams. On the left-hand side, I've got a Copilot button and my chat and OneDrive and all that. On the right-hand side, there'll be a panel that shows my chat history and any agents that I've installed. And we want to click on Get Agents because the researcher agent and analyst agent don't automatically show up. And when you click Get Agents, it's going to show you all of the different apps and agents that you can integrate with your Microsoft tenant. So to streamline this list a little bit, we want to filter by built by Microsoft. From there, now we're going to see the stuff that Microsoft has built, and you'll see at the top, there's the researcher agent and the analyst agent. Mine say open. but you'll want to click add next to each one, and that will add them to your Copilot agent list. So that's how we do that. And then we can go into the researcher agent. What do you think about that, Gar?
It's excellent. Hopefully you've prepped one of your queries that you're going to run.
Yes, I have. So in the researcher agent here, what this does is this is a chain of thought agent, meaning we put in a prompt and the agent will look at that prompt. It may ask some additional questions, and then it will take us through its thought process while it's gathering information and doing its work. So the way that I've been using this is to help me prepare for meetings. If I'm meeting with a client, if I'm meeting with a vendor, I'll put a prompt in to help give me some background information about that organization, about the kind of the things that might be impacting that organization in the marketplace. So I'm going to put a prompt in here, and we'll say, help me prepare for a meeting with this organization called Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, using their public data, website, LinkedIn, and so on to help me understand some context about the things that they're dealing with. And when I put in this prompt, researcher is going to come back and ask me for some more details, but I don't have to necessarily give them more details. I can say, hey, just go ahead and use your best judgment. So I'm going to do that, but you can see it's asking me, are there specific aspects that the agent should focus on? Are there trends and so on? I'll say, just go ahead. So now the researcher agent is going to start its process. And in a second here, we'll start to see what this chain of thought looks like. So here now we're getting some search results. It's doing some internet searching. We'll give it a few more seconds here. Yeah, and you can see here as we're talking, it's going through a very deliberate process of doing research, organizing data, doing some more searching, collecting that data. Think of this as like if we were doing this using Copilot, we would be typing in multiple prompts. We'd be looking at the data that's coming back. We'd be typing in another prompt. Well, the researcher agent is essentially doing that for us. And this process can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or longer for it to put together a detailed report. So we're not going to wait for all that. We're gonna use a prompt that I ran yesterday. So you can see on the right-hand side, I have some history here of previous prompts that I put in. So I'm going to click on preparing for a meeting with MicroStrategy because I ran this yesterday. We'll let this pop up here. And I'm going to scroll. You can see I've got the same prompt at the top. And it's given me this report. So it's given me a company overview, products and services that MicroStrategy offers, key executives, recent developments, strategic initiatives, competitive positioning, industry trends. I asked about that in the prompt. Challenges. I asked about that in the prompt. So it's done a lot of different data collection and organized that information. And throughout the response, you can see there's references to sources. So this is really important because AI isn't 100% accurate, right? You want to look at the references to validate the information that the AI is giving you because it can hallucinate. But I mean, gosh, look at this report. This process took, I think, about 10 minutes, and it's given me a very thorough document. And if I scroll down way to the bottom and I click on this See All Results, this is going to show the sources that were used. So you can see it's using their website. It's using some third-party websites. Up at the top here, it used Wikipedia, which can sometimes not have the right information, but for me to go through and search these sites, synthesize this information, it would have taken a really long time. So this is a really powerful tool for not only external research, but for internal research about your interactions with your clients, with your vendors, interactions with your team members, data that you have about a client. Really neat.